Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
To Ghana.
Yeah.
That demand that was made as well.
So once again, I mean, much earlier I didn't find Prof and your good self here, so good morning to you. You know, ordinarily, I didn't want to partake in this conversation for obvious personal reasons, but I felt that it's important for the sake of public education and informing the public adequately that some matters are put in proper perspective. I've always maintained that part of the politics of the NPP is anchored on the philosophy of demonizing your opponents. And so one of the ways of doing that demonization, and because we run a competitive electoral process, the whole idea is that as many of your opponents that you demonize, it gives you that leverage, as it were, to be able to be more competitive as far as electorates are concerned. And so if you look right from independence, either UP, Matimehu, or whatever, their politics have always been anchored on demonization. No, please, Senior, calm down, Senior, calm down. No, Senior, you calm down. You have the benefit of coming up. And so one of the things that they have done over the period is either make reference about Nkrumah. So if you look, immediately after the coup, they set up different commissions of inquiries. And the very work of the commissions of inquiry is to make adverse findings of corruption and misdeed against Osajifo from Anisia Gay commissions of inquiry, among others. Fast forward to our democratic settings. If you recall, immediately the NPP came to power, one of the things they did was to set up the National Reconciliation Commission. The thinking at that time was that the National Reconciliation Commission was going to help reconcile a people broken, a people that have suffered. What we didn't know, that whole commission of inquiry was to target Jerry Rawlings and a few of his associates. And if you look at the proceedings of the National Reconciliation, and thankfully it was televised, everything was choreographed to demonize the Jerry Rawlings administration. Then came the issues of prosecution. 1993, the Criminal Offences Act was amended to include causing financial loss to the state. That law was never used.
It was never meant to be.
In fact, it was never used until President Kufuor became president and the weaponization of Section 179A started. For the entire 8 years rule of President Kufuor, not one NPP official was found to have caused financial loss to the state. But the verdict is with the people of this country. Right. But every known associate of Jerry Rawlings, including his chief of staff at that time, were all prosecuted one way or the other for causing financial loss to the state. It was never lost to the NDC. And so, fundamentally, the NPP appreciate that prosecution is a veritable way of demonizing your opponent. In fact, if you read the quality grain decision, Justice Dixon Kwame Afre struggled to even find the basis to convict them. And so he started his judgment by saying that, look, there's news in the report, newspaper report, that these individuals are being prosecuted for stealing and corruption. I want to put on record that they are not being prosecuted for stealing or corruption, but it's a new offense called causing financial loss to the state. Before he started the analysis of his judgment, the reason why I'm bringing this antecedent is to let you know that all you need is for a political party to weaponize prosecution for its own political ends.
So what?
Now I'm bringing now to the steady thing. When NPP came to power, Mr. Yao Osafumafo Honorable decided to set up a special so-called forensic audit committee at the office of the president, annex, just behind here. And now what did he do? Pick specific audit agencies, including Bafwe and Associates, a known MPP audit agency. It's not in doubt. To proceed to audit the work of Maslock. That whole undertaking was for a purpose. To at all costs find wrongdoing against Edina. Now you say, what is even curious? And like Martin pointed out, if you look at that whole trial, it was a charade. The whole trial was anchored on the so-called audit conducted by Bafwe and Associates.
No, if you say the whole trial was a charade, was there no basis for it?
I'm coming.
Or the outcome of that particular audit?
Please, I'm coming. If you look at the entire, and I always say, you see, when you do an audit and you don't even invite the person you are auditing to even make an input and all of those, cross-examination is what will expose you.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Cross-examination itself is what will expose you.
The team must also be allowed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So first of all, this was a special audit. And one of the things that was done was even to audit SNITs. Thankfully, Mr. Ernest Thompson and co. challenged that audit finding. I want to just read part of the cross-examination that took place. Just for you to appreciate the basis of that, you know. This is what happened under cross-examination. And you can see it at page 64 of the record of volume 5 of the record of proceedings. I just want to read. It said, the officers you interviewed from Maslock, from the head office, no one indicated that there was no sensitization. Is that correct? Answer. That is not correct. Question. The officers who wrote statements indicating that they were sent to cash checks and handed over the monies to A1 did not indicate that there was no sensitization. Is that right? Answer. That is correct. Meanwhile, the whole basis of that trial was that monies were spent and there was no sensitization. Mm-hmm. You get her prosecuted, causing financial loss, no commitment to the state, whatever. She committed the state to undertakings. However, like Martin pointed out, the payment for those buses were done in 2018 by Mr. Kenoforiata after a rigorous investigation. So you have put out there for your party communicator to say that the price of the buses were inflated.
Okay. Have we paid?
If the buses were inflated, what would be the basis for Mr. Kenoforiata to make the payment? Why would he pay for buses whose prices were inflated when you have the opportunity to rescind the contract?
For damn politics.
You know, so if you pick the entirety of that whole case, it was the usual MPP politics. Look, I have always maintained. This morning, my brother made mention of Opuni's matter. See, the Opuni's matter remains one of the biggest blots as far as criminal justice is concerned in this republic. Mm-hmm. I am even surprised that you have the courage to even make reference to the Opuni matter. See, Yoko had investigated Opuni. Yoko found no basis for prosecution. Osafo went for the docket from Yoko and said he never understood why the police did not, Yoko did not find basis to prosecute. And now took the very docket that Yoko investigated and took those dockets to the CID to reinvestigate the entire thing. On the basis of the CID investigation, Opuni was then prosecuted. Now, guess what happened? The miracle. After my Lord Justice Onyenuga heard all the prosecution witnesses, something interesting happened. Lawyers for Opuni, through the prosecution witnesses, tendered in 14 pieces of documentary evidence.
Right.
The judge asked the prosecution witness and the prosecutors, the attorneys, do you have any objection to the tendering of these 14 pieces of document through your prosecution witnesses, the record bears it out. No, they said no objection. So then you see his record. This document is admitted without no objection. Now guess what? Based on the admission of those 14 pieces of document, lawyers for Puni then said, look, you know what? There is no basis for this trial to continue. Do you know the miracle the judge performed?
Round up on that.
I will round up. Yes.
Bring in this issue.
Do you know the miracle the judge performed? Once he went home to write his own ruling on the submission of no case, the judge now said, this document that were admitted without no objection, I am raising the objection alone and rejecting those pieces. Having so rejected those documents, he now proceeded to say he has a case to answer. Where in this world can that happen? Where in this world?
To the extent
so you have all these dubious
in
records, and you have the courage this morning to even come and talk about this matter.
But you see,
listen.
Did you have to?
Alfred, I beg you. Let me, Alfred, I beg you.
On that round up on that point.
I want to just round up.
I want to give him some of my time. You should continue. Prof, what are you doing?
Okay, that's fine.
Please,
that's all right.
let me just conclude on this. You see, this morning I listened to my brother Richard Ahiagba's prelim, and he went to town. And you try controlling the process. See, we happen to be cancelled for.
The same thing he is doing now.
We happen to be cancelled.
The same thing he is doing now. So continue with your intervention.
Bail conditions.
And let us not digress from the subject matter.
See, the 12 years plus of my practice has all been dedicated to criminal practice and a bit of civil practice. And so one of the things I have always done is to advocate for the right of accused persons and suspects.
Of course.
And I have consistently done that. On bail, I'm surprised today bail has become an issue. You know Dr. Kwabena Dufo? Do you know him?
Yes.
In fact, Bamia is because of Dufo. His first appointment within the public service of Ghana was when Dr. Dufo was deputy governor in charge of administration and HR. Yeah. He took him into Bank of Ghana around 96 or so. That is the foundation of who today he is, for whatever is worth. Dr. Dufo was prosecuted under the MPP. We appeared in court for him and asked the court for bail for Dufo. Look at Dufo, deputy governor, finance minister, owns several businesses in this country. A man of that stature. The judge admitted him, in fact, to bail at 100 million Ghana cedis to be justified in this country. I was there. I was lawyer that day.
And there's a practice you oppose. So,
wait, I beg you. Upon all prayers, the bail was reduced from 100 million to 65 million Ghana cedis. Dufo. No self-recognizance. Does it not work enough for Ghana? Almost 80-something-year-old man, we imposed a bail of 65 million Ghana cedis on him at the time when the so-called apostles of the rule of law were in power. Is it the case of amnesia or loss of memory? So, look, you see, I have always opposed the idea. Please, senior, I beg you.
This language. No.
You see, my point is that I have always opposed stringent bail conditions because they come across as always punishing the person ahead of even the trial. Yes, that's my personal view about this matter.
Right.
Especially so when you know the person, investigators know the person among others. Look, there's a young NDC guy who the police declared wanted. So when they declared him wanted, I spoke to the family that, please, no. Come along with him. Let's go to the police. So I called my senior Sosu, and he got me a lawyer, director legal. And we took the young man to the police just behind, the Dampari had this police office behind the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
Just here, just at the back here. Look, I thought by sending the guy there, it would be enough basis for him to be granted bail. You know what happened? When we went to court, the judge says no bail. She was going to do the case daily. Eventually, I went to the High Court and got bail. Do you know that this young man was eventually convicted? It was a daily trial. I remember there was a day the guy came to court. Sosu was then representing him because I was engaged in other businesses. So I asked my senior Sosu, oh, then one day Sosu, because of parliamentary duties, he couldn't go to court. You know what the judge said? The judge said, if your lawyer is not here, proceed with the cross-examination yourself. These are things that have happened. They are not good enough. Okay. But I don't expect this level of pontification to become it. So I strongly believe that this whole extradition, thankfully, yes, it's true. When Richard says it commenced under the administration, that's a fact. What I also know, and there are letters to that effect, is that when Dr. Ayene even came, he followed up on those with written correspondences with the Americans. In fact, for this particular movement to Ghana, as late as Tuesday, the state Ghana had to pay for her airfare. The state Ghana sent Yoko officials to US to bring her. And so they claim that the government knows nothing about it. It's far from the truth. In fact, government of Ghana pressurized the Americans to bring her. That is what the rule of law entails. That's what the rule of law entails. So for whatever is worth, let's all maintain it is the rule of law that got her convicted. Let's see what the outcome. But in one breath, you are happy that the rule of law got her convicted. But you are sad that the rule of law got somebody bail. Okay. Which of the rule of law do you believe in?
Let me acknowledge the presence of Kofi Bentil.
But the rule of law, according to the NDC, not the independent of the rule of law, but it's subject to the NDC.
Look at
that's
you.
That's
look
strange.
At you. Look at you.
That's strange because it's the NDC.
Jonathan, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, I took notice of that concession of time to Lawyer Digital Maklo by Professor Jampo.
Prof doesn't have any more time.
Publicly that he has given part of his time to Lawyer Digital Maklo.
So all of it.
Only two.
He said all of it.
3 minutes. 3 minutes of his time.
No, he said all of it.
No. 3 minutes of his time.
He said all.
You are not an accurate timekeeper.
Let me hear you.
Well, he said all.
Having listened to it.
Matters in proper perspective. Look, we've had nolle prosequi used in our courts. I recall vividly the trial of Gregory Afoko. Case had completed by Justice Ellen Mensah. Just awaiting judgment. The Republic decided to file a nolle prosequi. That is the only instance that I've seen a criminal trial concluded, awaiting judgment, and the Republic filing a nolle prosequi.
And it's wrong.
Look, I didn't say it is wrong. If you are
that's
thinking,
my point.
And I'm saying that this happened under a president who is noted for the rule of law and the respect for human rights. It was justified, even when it was contested at the Supreme Court. You see, this morning, I've listened to my senior Kofi Bentil. And if you look at the arguments that were postured, it is as though the contract entered into by SEDI, Ken just came and paid. No, please. For the avoidance of doubt, look, I beg you, I just want to read the records of proceeding, which is founded at volume 3 of the record. This is what transpired. You also knew from your records that the contract for the acquisition of the vehicles had been signed by your predecessor, but not a single CD had been paid by Maslock. Is that correct? Answer, yes, my lord. This sticker under cross-examination. Answer, yes, my lord. So when the question was put to him, whether or not a single cedi was paid for the 350 buses. His answer was, yes, my lord, nothing was paid. Further question.
Nothing had been paid.
Had been paid then. Further question. Your CEO had testified in this court that they renegotiated the entire contract price.
That's true.
Is that the case? Unfortunately, I cannot speak of my CEO's testimony. Now, question. I am asking you personally. Maslock says that the contract price was renegotiated. Is that the case? Answer. From what the person gave me, yes. So first of all, the contract was renegotiated.
By who?
So what's the point?
You renegotiated the contract.
No, the contract
and
was
so
renegotiated by
your
who?
accusation by the MPP.
So, how could it be?
I mean, oh, sorry. I mean, the government then, sorry. I mean, I've corrected myself. So my point is that it is not like the father just came and paid what the son entered into, by your analogy. No. The father, being a responsible one, said, parties come. Let's renegotiate. Prices were knocked down, among other things. Based on the renegotiated thing, you paid for it. Meanwhile, your accusation against the person was that he contracted for and inflated the price.
So the
Pure
issue
contract.
of the inflated price was
Pure contract.
the basis for the renegotiation.
Yes. And now you negotiated and
so my
paid. And
point is,
listen, oh,
does
Sina,
that
Sina,
transfer-
Sina,
No,
please.
I'm talking to
No,
Abel.
Sina, yeah, you can.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It took you 2 years. 2018, that was when you renegotiated and paid for it. Meanwhile, you convicted her on these accusations.
So you want me to clarify?
And so the point let me just conclude.
No, conclude, because it's just...
I'm concluding. So let nobody create the impression. And look, they've given all MPP communicators a communication line. Oh, just say that she inflated the price of this and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, go to the record of proceedings, the cross-examination. It exposes the issues. In fact, the warrant for payment was signed by Mr. Kenoforiata 2 years after she had left office. That's also not enough. But that's renegotiated. But you see, let me just make
But
this.
it is the criminal man that was in
This
issue.
morning,
Yeah,
my senior
If you committed the crime.
Kofi, oh please, I beg
But
you.
you were worried.
I'm not talking to you.
On this point,
But leave that to the court.
The question
Now
is
we are in court, so leave
whether
that
or
to
not
the
this particular development actually nullifies the decision that was taken
Yes, leave that.
previously.
No, but that's a different matter. But
Okay.
I'm making the point. Let me also say this. You see, my senior says government promises and the judiciary delivers.
I mean, that is so...
Very serious.
You see, that is, please. You see, that is the communication strategy adopted by the MPP.
Hey, what's that?
And the reason why they have adopted that strategy is a very simple one. You see, he made mention, we won't call communicators meeting.
You come. Do you come to our meetings?
No, I've been seeing the speaking notes.
I've been waiting for the communication.
So let me proceed.
So next time, don't go out.
You know,
The director of communication is here. I don't think you know what we're talking about.
You know,
Don't admit it next time.
I'm running up. You see, when you make such a statement, very stripping, that the government had promised and the judiciary delivered.
I gave you 2 examples.
And you liken it to the Tokonu action first, then now proceeded to GN Bank. Senior, with respect, that's going beyond the rules. That's going beyond the acceptable standard.
No, you're wrong.
And I'll explain why. Who in the NDC promised a removal of any Chief Justice? Nobody. Nobody knew that this is how a person will conduct himself, which will form the basis of an impeachment proceeding.
Contrary to a promise to remove a YC.
YC.
Well, it's
But you know,
strategic.
that's another issue.
It's
But
strategic.
So that point ought to be made
That.
clear. Nobody promised the removal. Unfortunately, it so happened that it has to happen. And I do know that the person of President Mahama is not a vindictive leader. And he's known that he's never been vindictive. GM Bank. Look, the Bank of Ghana took a decision. Are we by any stretch of any form of legal argument saying that a decision of the Bank of Ghana is sacrosanct? Are we saying that the decision by the Bank of Ghana is not judicially reviewable? Look, I would urge anybody, let's all have the benefit of reading the concurring judgment of my Lord Justice Achibonga.
In which case specifically?
In the GM Bank case. He makes a very compelling argument in upholding the submission of GM Bank. This is what he referenced. He says that you, government of Ghana, you owe GM Bank X amount of money. That is an asset to GM Bank.
I need to come in.
But it undermines in terms of its liability. No, I'm just saying so that it doesn't
matter that we are not. It's not before.
No, but because he said, but you see,
no, but his reference not in the detail that he's saying. But he's supposed to conclude on the said in that matter.
Yes. Okay. Let me
hold on. When Mr. Bentil referenced this GN Bank case, I clearly indicated it's actually a case on its own we can get into.
Yes.
Because to say that, hold on. Because to make that particular point in concluding that it is the judiciary carrying out a particular statement.
No, I'm sure my senior.
I made the point and left it because you're not letting me explain. I can explain
the matter. So just leave it.
I can explain. What he's saying is what I wanted to say differently.
Okay,
but if you like, let me make my point.
Can we allow him to make his point?
Now, let me make his point.
Let me conclude on this critical issue of the GM Bank, because you see,
you see. So, because you have already established that point and made it.
Let me just read a portion and let's let your viewers.
I made the point. Let me explain myself then. Because he's taking my point off. But let me make my point.
He created a mischievous punchline.
Let that be known.
But your government.
Let me explain what I'm saying.
But that's his
now let me see. And you see, that is why I'm saying that. You see, he's my senior at the bar. The received learning, our received learning, is to put matters in proper perspective, law and fact. So let me say this, and I'll just reference my Lord Justice Achibonga, and allow fair-minded people,
I'll say,
and see whether this is a judiciary delivering or this is sound reasoning. This is what, in our view, it will not be fair to declare an entity insolvent just because its operating cash flow cannot meet its debt when they fall due, even though it has assets, including realizable assets that far exceeded its liabilities. If allowed to realize this asset could help it pay its due debt and continue to operate as a growing concern. So even though sections 1, 2, 3, 4 appears to give the regulator an option as to the two tests stated above, the regulator, to be fair, should apply both tests in determining whether a bank or a deposit-taking institution is insolvent. This position finds support in so and so. Now, this is what it concludes. From the above analysis, it is our respective view that there is evidence on record to establish that government and its MDAs owed Gold Coast advisors huge sums of money, part of which was assigned to the third respondent, GN Savings and Loans. Therefore, forming part of its debt owed to it by government and its MDA. Government debt, in our view, are the safest or one of the safest to have on a company's book. Being a government debt, the same is easily realizable as compared to debt owed to individuals, and same should be relevant and taken into account by a regulator. Now, this is where he concludes, and I'll end here. It will be absurd, irrational, and unjust for the government and its MDAs to owe a bank or a specialized deposit-taking institution to the extent that it affects its liquidity and working capital ratio of that same. And the same regulator, based on that, proceeds to declare such a savings agency insolvent?
Thank you.
How is this done again? Sound reasoning.
Let me do that, please. Please. Let me clarify. So here's the point. I stand by my point. Now, the definition of insolvency is a financial state where an individual or company can no longer pay their debts as they can.
Is it ChatGPT?
Please. Just check where they are. As they come due. Okay. He's waded into the area of law and finance. Now.
You don't really indulge that matter.
So let's assure that we will do it when it is right. And we have done it many times before. And I have had commendations from even Supreme Court judges.
You don't have to prove yourself. I mean, your record is out there.
I'm sorry.
Lawyer and the Appiah Kubi is known to be a good lawyer.
No.
That has never been in doubt.
Yes.
But you see, as lawyers, sometimes we pick cases that are difficult.
Yes.
They are just difficult. And like I always say...
And we do our best.
Yes. And I always say, you see, we are professionals. You want to provide the best of professional care.
Service to your clients.
It's just like somebody not well, emergency situation, the person is rushed to the hospital. The doctor will try everything based on the Hippocratic oath or whatever they call it, to try to give life back to the person. And I've always maintained that the doctor is next to God. After that, then the lawyer. Then we are going. So there are three noble professions. Medicine.
Please.
You're getting yourself into a bind.
I said, oh, wait. Who told the lawyer? Calm down. There are three.
Just 1 second, calm down.
There are three noble.
You see the things we have been suffering. See the thing we are suffering.
There are three noble professions: divinity, medicine, and law. That's not in that. Okay. Later we'll come. But you let me go to the substantive matter. I think that we shouldn't confuse a few things. You see, the Attorney General investigators have investigated a matter. The matter that they have investigated, they have come to a conclusion that where they sit and the evidence they have, there has been a commission of a crime. And that crime is a crime of fraud. Now, based on their painstaking investigation, they have formulated criminal charges, I think about 4 counts of fraud against Mr. Bernard Enchibo Siako, also known as Chairman Wontumi. Now, from where the prosecution sits, the kind and the quality of evidence that they have is enough to ensure that the court will come to the conclusion that there had been wrongdoing. That is the view of the prosecution. Now, defense led by Malene Senior and the Appiah Kubi is also of the opinion that no, in fact, you applied for bail for him.
Yes, I did.
Which bail was admitted.
Yes.
He's on bail. One of the fundamental principles of law is the presumption of innocence. In fact, it is on the basis of that presumption that you anchor a bail application. Rightly so, like we always say, facts put before the court do not constitute evidence unless admitted in evidence. But at this material moment, there had been an extraordinary step that had been taken, also founded by law. That is a plea negotiation, a kicked in. Now, you see, there are 2 schools of thought on these matters. That a smart accused person, knowing that when convicted for a charge of fraud, the maximum sentence may be even up to 15, 20 years, can say that, you know what is it? It's about money. The whole fraud ends up with money. So you know what? I want to give you the money back. But that does not also claim the fact that there's an allegation of fraud. So usually 2 schools of thought. That the mere fact that you, the accused, have initiated that process means that you know that your chance of survival are very low. And therefore, the smart thing for you to do under the circumstance is to water down. That's one school of thought.
The other one.
Another school of thought is the opinion that, well, you know what, to save all of us our time. And you know, usually, when discoveries are done, and you see the weight of evidence that is coming against you. I'm coming. But you see, you went through the criminal investigative process. So you definitely will know what was on earth. We know where the dead bodies are. Defense and prosecution. And so you come to the conclusion and say, you know what? This trial is going to be fully documentary. What is the anchor of the prosecution case of fraud? Maybe I did some documentation, I made some representation, they are documentary in nature, my signatures are all over the place. If these things are admitted in evidence, it may create problem for me. So let me do a plea. At least it will water down the potential impact on this.
And of course, the courts are national institutions.
Yeah.
And the presence of a lawyer in court makes you an officer of the court.
Yes.
So sometimes, in a national situation like that, in the interest of national reconciliation and national progress,
Senior.
Sometimes
Senior, you have made your point. You can come in with a short rebuttal. Senior, the point
you were given opportunity to speak.
What foul? I told him
some of the decisions you take in the national interest.
Okay. You see, the most important thing is that the issue of national interest should not even come here.
Oh, please.
Prosecution is a public policy tool. It's to achieve a certain outcome. Look, what was the NDC's promise? Operation Recover All Loots. Recovering of loot may come with other consequences, but the primary focus is to recover the loot. And so if there's an avenue to recover that loot, first of all, it serves the public good, one. If there are other consequences that flows, it's an added on. And so where I sit, and I'll tell you an example. When myself and my senior were representing now Attorney General in the ambulance matter, the company, Big C, offered to take the ambulances back. Listen carefully. Take the ambulances back and refund the state, the money to the state.
You mean the finance minister now?
Yeah, the current finance minister. Yeah. But guess what happened? When Big C offered to refund the money and take the ambulances, the state said, unless they see Ato forcing, they won't allow.
Unless they see Ato?
Yes.
But Ato was in Ghana.
No, when I say see, unless he's part of the plea, they won't. And we as lawyers for Ato, we say we have a solid case. He is clean, as white as snow. So we are not going to be part of any plea. And that is why you notice that the plea in the Ato matter never worked. Because even though Big C offered to take their ambulances back and refund the money, the Republic said, what?
Yeah, but BC was a party to the suit.
No, I'm coming.
Was it a party?
No. Senior, I'm coming, please.
Because the law is explicit.
The point at that time was that they said, Big C, you are the ultimate benefit. The money went to Big C.
Yes, but was Big C charged?
I'm just coming. Big C.
No, I'm trying to correct him in the law.
No,
the law identifies the people who can come to court.
Big C, Japa was the agent.
We should stop this.
So, in the course of that matter, the point I am making is that Ato and his lawyers took a principled position that I am clean. I did no wrong. I am not going to be part of any plea. Simple. And so that is why people are saying that, If in the past somebody can take,
I need to correct you on this because the law doesn't allow any third party to jump in with an application for plea. The law doesn't allow that.
I am making my point. I am making my point.
So there was no application for plea. There was no. In the case of Big C.
No, there was. I was a lawyer in the matter. What are you talking about?
So who made the application?
So who was the agent of Big C?
But was he charged?
Yes, Richard Jakwa was the second accused. Now what are you saying?
He was the second accused.
That's all. That's why I said you should hold on.
You relax.
Relax. As a company couldn't have
relax. Today I've been very charitable to you. I've been very charitable. Where I plan going,
yes,
it's okay. You let me just make my point. So my point is simple. When you take that step, it sends a message. And so the people who say that it is because you have seen the potential, that is why you've taken this extra, you can't blame them.
You can't.
You can't blame them.
That because you are saying that Wontumi will lose the case?
Yes,
that's why
you see,
gone for this
it's an opinion they are entitled to. They may be wrong.
You mean out of ignorance?
It cannot be out of ignorance. Yeah. Because these are, you see, what the plea agreement had come, what it shows is that at least the Attorney General has a case that is defendable. Contrary to the initial claim that this is quote-unquote witch hunting or what have you, this extraordinary step creates or gives credence to the fact that at least there's some modicum, of evidence to suggest a certain wrongdoing. If not, you don't take this extraordinary step. But you see, I have always said that one of the innovative interventions in Act 30 is this issue about plea. Again, like I said, all the work I've done is through criminal defense. These things usually come to help us as defense lawyers. It will save you time, it will save you cost, it will save you everything. And sometimes I think that usually these things are highlighted only because they involve prominent people. Do you know the number of plea deals that are done every day? Thousands of them. In fact, somebody can do an RTI to the Attorney General to find out from the time of the amendment of Act 30 to now, how many plea agreements have been done? Countless number of them. In fact, I was in court on many instances where plea, basic stealing, he has stolen from his boss, he had done this.
The ones that involve politically exposed persons.
That is what comes to the headline. But you see, this law has helped ordinary citizens of this country without the usual highlights.
Okay.
I strongly believe that consistent with the NDC campaign promise and aura, if at the end of the day, the allegation is that X amount of money could not have passed, but for this false representation, on that basis, you are bringing the money back. It is consistent with the oral principle.
See. Thank you. Now,
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.